A legendary weekend in the Lou. PGA Tour champions compete in the Stifel Charity Classic, presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th, and COAR. Perform live with your Friday ticket. Visit StifelCharityClassic.com today.
And we appreciate you joining us here on the Cards Central Postgame Show. I'm Sara Dayley alongside Ethan Hannaford. The Yankees take one from the Cards for the second out of the 3-game series at Busch Stadium. They lost last night 4-3. Again tonight. Final score 12-8. That's 4 straight for the Birds, struggling in St. Louis, and it just hasn't gone their direction. Putting up 8 runs. The bat's kind of starting to pop a bit tonight, but once again, Ethan, just not enough to get the job done.
Yeah, just a disappointing night overall. The bats did their job. I know, some people are frustrated with different aspects of this game, as they should be. It wasn't a very well played game, in my opinion, by the Cardinals. It just feels like right now St. Louis is in a spot where the night that something goes well, the other aspect of your game that usually goes well doesn't. And that's what it feels like it's been the last couple of nights. And unfortunately, the bats showed up. And the night that the bats showed up, the starting pitching was pitiful, and the bullpen work was not good either. So it felt like it kind of felt like once you lost the lead in the what inning would that have been? That would have been the fourth inning.
Yeah, the fourth.
The fourth inning when you lost that lead, and the Yankees added on to it in the sixth. It kind of just felt like the game was over from that point, and that's a tough place to be. It's just kind of how you feel about this Cardinals team. Obviously, some Yankees were all over the ball tonight, especially the top of the lineup. 15 hits tonight, and 9 of them came from the top 3 guys in the lineup, including 2 from Aaron Judge, 3 from Brendan Rice, who had 7 RBIs, and then Trent Grisham had 4 as well. That is one of the only positive parts about tonight, is I have Trent Grisham in fantasy baseball, and I'm in the playoffs. But, no one wants to hear about my fantasy baseball team. So, frustrating night for the Cardinals, and it's never a good thing, unfortunately, when you're relying on Miles Michaelis to try and prevent a sweep. But that's where we have ourselves right now in St. Louis.
So, like you said, though, it wasn't like the Cards didn't do anything at the plate. Herrera with an RBI single, Wynn with a 3-run home run on his 9th of the year, Victor Scott an RBI single, Leahy unfortunately comes in. Has 3 singles in a row, then a double by Ben Rice. So he just got hit all over the place. Walker, the leadoff double, then Gorman goes deep. So, it wasn't completely useless. But again, if you can't get the job done with 8 runs scored and you still lose and you're still struggling, it's just another frustration point for Cardinal fans. And they did mention tonight, because it was a national broadcast, Cardinals averaging 8,000 a game outside of the strike year and the non-COVID year. This is the lowest attendance since 1984.
28,000.
28,000. Sorry, what did I say?
8,000. Not quite that low. We're not Miami. All right. But it's, the fans in here are a great example. When they don't like the product, they're going to show it. And that has been made very clear, not just this year, but over the last couple of years. And, finally they tried to, the front office, I would say, give an idea of what this year was going to be like. They expected for attendance to be down this year. They gave this weird message in the offseason that it was going to be an opportunity for guys to get chances, but then they couldn't trade Arenado. So they said, well, we're going to be competing too. And so it was mixed messaging going in, which, St. Louis fans are smart. So tell them how it is. That Bernie Miklasz here on STL Sports Central has been putting out some phenomenal content ever since he joined. And that's one of the biggest things that he has said, is that going into 2026, the best thing that Chaim Bloom could do in his first press conference is just call it how it is and tell the fans straight up what this year is going to look like. The Cardinals very likely are not going to be in a place to compete in 2026. So tell them what the plan is and what the message is for the fans for how you're going to get back to that point. But this whole mixed messaging thing, it just has to be, we have to be moving on from it. So, hopefully that's on the horizon. It's a tough spot. August baseball is always hard also because, your post-trade deadline, which is this big old excitement of what are they going to do? You're looking at the future or you're adding, and then you're not quite to, school's back in session, and then it's hot weather. And then on top of that, you got September, either you're in a playoff run or you got other things going on, whether it be football. There's always August is just, I was talking to someone at the ballpark last night, I had this conversation. August is just like the hardest time of the year. And it's even harder when you're in the place that the Cardinals are right now, where fans are just over it. So yeah, there's excuse me. I know some fans in here are really over the top with this. There tends to be at least a positive or two from every game that you can take. That doesn't mean that you're satisfied with the product. And you mentioned a couple of those positives tonight. Mason Wynn continues to hit well, had the 3-run home run in the second inning. Mason Wynn, I thought this was funny. Last year at the ballpark, I had the opportunity to do the post-game field interview a couple of times that plays over the Jumbotron and over the speakers. And I interviewed, one of the times I did it, it was interviewing Mason Wynn on Players Weekend against the Dodgers. And that was really that was really fun because, they have all kinds of different things. The players get to kind of, show off their different passions and appreciation. So I got to talk to Mason Wynn a little bit about that. But I remember he had a really good weekend last year, and he's having a really good weekend, Players Weekend this year too. So in his 2 Players Weekend, he's batting 300, and he has, I think, 3 home runs in now 5 games and 6 or 7 RBIs. So Mason Wynn, in a night of frustrations, one of the positives is that he continues to produce, is right around where he was last year as far as batting average. OPS is a little bit down from last year overall, but I tell you what, I'm confident that he's going to continue to take steps in the right direction offensively. But even if he sticks around this, a 720, 730 OPS guy and is hitting between 260 and 270, I think that's a lot better than most people thought he was going to be during his career, because everyone looked at him, you say you put him in the 8th spot and he's going to play the best shortstop defense in the league, and you were going to be okay with that. So I think what you're getting from him is a plus right now, and the way that they talk about him is that he's going to only continue moving in the right direction. So that's an encouraging sign. It's a good sign. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly things look like in the future for Mason Wynn as he continues to play. I'm seeing some stuff in the chat regarding Victor Scott II. Have not seen anything official as far as a diagnosis on him yet, but as soon as I do, I will pass something on. Or if someone saw something from an official source, feel free to throw that in as well. But Victor Scott trying to rob Aaron Judge's home run in the that would have been the the 3rd inning, early in the game. He landed awkwardly when he was trying to rob it, collided with the wall, and went down. He ended up exiting the game. And there it is. Oh, this came out a while ago. This came out during the game. I don't know how I missed this. My apologies.
The sprained ankle or
posted this an hour ago, that Victor Scott, Cardinals PR, a left ankle sprain, and he played through it for a couple of innings, as I just mentioned. So, we'll have to see what exactly happens with Victor Scott. Not a good sign to have him, have him potentially missing time out there. We know what he brings defensively and with his speed as far as just impacting the Dayley roster. But this is a guy that's had some struggles offensively over the last couple of months. And this is a really couple of important months for him because you want him to hit the ground running in 2026. We know of his abilities. If you can just improve that on base percentage a little bit, I mean, he's going to be even that much more lethal on the base paths. A walk is going to be extra bases more times than not for Victor Scott. So you hope that this is not a severe ankle sprain. I don't think We haven't heard anything beyond that it's a left ankle sprain as far as I know. But we'll, if we hear anything or see anything here in the next, handful of minutes while we're on, we will definitely pass that along to you and discuss.
So we did have someone question a couple of other injuries. So if Victor Scott, heaven forbid, is out for a duration, you have Scott out, you have Donovan out, you have Contreras out. And unfortunately, the Cardinals still struggling in a couple of spaces, don't really have the luxury of affording a couple of players to be down longer than they are. So this could really add to some of the craziness for the Birds. And then, of course, Ace, Sara and Ethan, seriously, what is your grade for Ollie this year? I know the team is on Mo, but what's Ollie's grade? Be honest.
So let's go ahead and let's start with the injuries, right? I mean, Brendan Donovan's still dealing with the lingering toe and the groin tightness. This has been something he's been kind of battling through for a while. You've seen his numbers really dip off offensively over the last, I don't know, however long, several weeks now at least. And based off of what he has said to the media, it seems like he thinks that the lingering injuries have been one of the bigger contributors to that. Obviously you hope that he can get healed up. The question, right, is right now the Cardinals haven't put him on the injured list. They're confident enough that he's going to be able to not have to miss an extended period of time. You can only add people to the injured list retroactive 3 days earlier. So I'm not sure how many days he's been out now, but I'm curious. We had this same conversation about Nolan Arenado earlier in the year. How long do you wait until Victor Scott is back? Excuse me, not Victor Scott. Brendan Donovan is back and being able to be in the everyday lineup. What is the pros and cons? I know that you're banged up right now, but what are the pros and cons to you giving him 10 days on the injured list, and then it opens up opportunity for someone else just to get some time. I know Gorman's playing a lot right now already as it is, but maybe it's JC playing every day. There's all kinds of different ways that you could look at it. Not saying I'm advocating for one or the other. And then Wilson Contreras, haven't heard any further updates on him as well since getting hit by that pitch in the foot a few nights ago. The Cardinals are banged up right now. There's no doubt about it. They're playing with a short bench because Contreras and Donovan are not on the injured list. And Bill saying that the only bench player right now is Garrett Hampson, as well as Joel Pozo. It's frustrating right now, I know, but because the Cardinals are already, there's been plenty of frustrations about them as it is. And when you take out a couple of the best bats, it gets even more frustrating. So definitely frustrating to look at. The question from Ace Rob regarding Ollie Marmol and the job that he has done this year. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that any other manager in Major League Baseball could do a better job with this roster than Ollie Marmol has done, or with last year's? I don't personally. I mean, I think that the way in which he has handled the bullpen has been really good. The way in which he interacts with his players, keeps them invested. I think there's a lot to say about the job that Ollie Marmol has done. I think he has grown leaps and bounds
tremendously
from his first year as a manager in this league when he was 35 years old and had players on the team that were older than him. Ollie Marmol has never... 2022, that was a good ball club, but I mean, where's that ball club at in 2022 if Albert doesn't go on his surge to 700 in the second half of the season? Outside of that, Ollie hasn't really had a good roster in his time in St. Louis. So, I think that I hope that Ollie is able to stay through. He's able to remain through the transition. I know some people will disagree, but I'm almost at the point now with people that are dogging on Ollie Marmol, saying that that somehow this disaster that has occurred is on him. I don't know how you can, because he doesn't create the roster. All he can do is do the best with what he has, and I don't think there's a lot of managers out there that could do a much better job than he is.
So I would say what? I would say probably a B plus, A minus kind of range. I don't think he was absolutely like phenomenal, but I don't think you're going to find anyone else better. And there's a couple of areas, like you said, room for growth. So to give a final grade, that would be my slot, probably low A.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I mean, how I don't have a specific grade. I can tell you, I think Ollie Marmol's done a really good job this year, working through a roster that has all kinds of redundancy. We know that there has been some disagreement with how things have been handled, the Fetty situation, as well as a couple of other situations. So it has to be frustrating, right, to be put in the spot that he's in. But he's been very candid with fans. I mean, he is constantly being open with fans and media and answering questions. So, I think he's trying to do his part to explain the decision-making process, and because he has said it, the fans deserve it. So, I think Ollie Marmol has done just about as good of a job as you can with this roster this year.
So early on in the conversation, when we first logged in, reading through a couple of comments, we had some folks going right to JJ Weatherholt, and you had mentioned that he hit another home run tonight. So clearly, as Richard says, bring up JJ now. What are your thoughts on that?
JJ Weatherholt's been really dang good in AAA. I mean, here's the thing. JJ Weatherholt is the biggest prospect that the Cardinals have had since who? I mean, I would argue he's bigger than Jordan Walker was as a prospect as far as the hype and the excitement around him. One of the reasons I would say that is even though Walker was actually a higher prospect in the MLB pipeline, he got as high as 4. Weatherholt is 6 currently. Even though Walker was higher, Walker never played in AAA before going to the major leagues. He went straight from AA to the majors. Part of AAA, I think, for fans is where when they're close. So it kind of allows for that to brew. And, you look at what he did in Single A last year, a very encouraging year into AA as well as AA this year, or excuse me, spent all of last year in Single A. As far as AA this year, batted 300 with an 891 OPS. And since he's gotten to AAA, he has just absolutely mashed. He is in the top 5 percentile, I think, in exit velocity and several other, StatCast numbers. I don't have them in front of me here, but I can pull them up here in just a moment. But, I mean, you look at the power that he has been able to produce. 9 home runs in 25 games in AAA. He had 9 in his prior, let's see, let's do some quick math here. 62 plus 29, is that 91? 91. He had 9 home runs in his first 91 games between Single A and AA, and he has 9 home runs in AAA in 25 games. So he's batting 295, and his OPS is 1,058. Yeah, that'll play. I think there's reason for fans to be excited. As far as bring him coming up this year, let me ask you guys this. I'm curious as to fans' thoughts on this because I know people are so excited to see him. I'm excited to see him. But here's my question. 1, do you think it should happen this year? 2, do you think it will happen this year? And the reason that I ask those questions is that you look at the Cardinals roster right now. We know about the redundancy. We know about how much surplus there is. There's so many, it feels like, of the same style of player. But if you bring up JJ, where does he play? Does he play at short? No, because you got Mason Wynn there. Does he play at second? I mean, probably not. Brendan Donovan's your everyday guy there. Does he play at third? I think that they would argue that trying to figure out what they have in Nolan Gorman is more important than JJ Weatherholt coming this year.
Right.
Whether you agree or disagree with that, that's fine. He hasn't played any outfield, so it seems like those are the three options right now. Now, it feels like, in my personal opinion, things are getting set up that shortstop is going to be his position. Third base is going to be his position of the future, which makes you wonder what the future is for Nolan Gorman. I have to imagine that Nolan Arenado, they're going to be trying to find a way to move on from him this offseason. So, as important as getting him some time would be, you look at how beneficial that was for Mason Wynn at the end of 2023, and he was able to hit the ground running in 24. You wonder if that there would be some benefit there. But I'll also say this, we know that the Cardinals have jumped the gun on some of these prospects in the past, and they probably look at J.J. Weatherholt and say, this is a guy that we have to make sure that we get right. We cannot jump the gun on him. So part of me wonders is if as a result, they're going to be a little bit more conservative in their handling of him, as well as, like I said, I think that just as much of a priority right now is figuring out what you have in Nolan Gorman, figuring out what you have in these other guys, even if they're not going to be here, to ship them and move on. Nick's saying, where would he play? He has real superstar potential. He can replace anyone other than Wynn. I don't disagree. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is if you bench Nolan Gorman the rest of the year, what's that going to do for his value going into the offseason if you're trying to trade him to bring in some other pieces? That's the argument that I am making. I am leaning more towards the side of I don't think that they will bring him up this year. Should they? I think there's pros and cons to both. Here's the thing, though. If you guys want this thing to be sped up at all, then you better be hoping that with the playing time that these guys are getting, that they're going to trade in the offseason, that they're taking advantage of it. And if you bring J.J. Weatherholt up, it's one less spot for guys to be taking advantage of that runway, I guess. So yeah, that's why I'm probably at like a 60-40 leaning against just let him keep hitting in AAA. It's not going to hurt him to be down there more. I know we all want to see him, but it's not going to hurt him. That's my thoughts on J.J. Weatherholt.
And it's not going to do anything for the Cardinals at this point. I think the only reason they would is if it's circumstantial, because they literally are injury, like something happens where they're going to have more guys out, and you have to at some point if things keep going.
I wonder even, if Brendan Donovan goes on the injured list, then Thomas DeJace is still going to play second every day. Or Gorman. Those two are going to play. I don't even think in that case they would bring J.J. Weatherholt up. I don't think so. Yeah, it would surprise me at this point. It would surprise me. So I think we are less than 45 games remaining, I believe now, though. So they could bring him up and not affect his service time. So we'll see what they do, but I would be surprised. I would be surprised if they end up rolling with it.
Justin Hutchins is weighing in, saying Donovan should be left fielder, JJ play second, Newt Bar center, Walker right, and that should be the outfield. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad lineup for the future, but I will say this. When was the last time we saw Brendan Donovan play in left field? It's been a minute. And the reason I ask that is because I think that they are clearly making it known that they prioritize Brendan Donovan at second base compared to in the outfield. So, I don't necessarily disagree that wouldn't be a solid lineup or a solid setup for the future. But the manager, the one who's making those decisions, has been intentionally not playing Brendan Donovan in left field for a while now, even though he has the ability to do so. And so I would be surprised if we see that this year. Maybe in the future. It's so hard to predict the lineup for the future because you don't know who's going to be here. And that's why it's hard to know where J.J. Weatherholt's going to be. If Arenado is here next year, if Gorman's here next year, if Brendan Donovan is here next year. Someone said Brendan Donovan could get shipped off. That could very well happen. Would I be a fan of it? Not personally. I would prefer for him to stay. But if you're talking about trying to bring in the max amount of value as far as your talent that you have right now and bring in the best pitcher possible, Brendan Donovan's the piece that's going to do that right now. Now, the other argument is that he is going to be the other argument to that is that he's the guy to build around. And it really depends how fast the Cardinals can it's how fast can the Cardinals how fast? Excuse me, I'm sorry. How fast do they think that they're going to be back in the mix, competing in being a legit competitor?
Yeah, essentially turning things around as quickly as they can.
Exactly. Yep. LBD Titan commenting saying, getting nauseated hearing JJ compared to Jordan Walker. Walker is a bust. Walker is a physical specimen, not a talented baseball player. He never performed in the minors like JJ. Well, that's not entirely true. Actually, their AA numbers were pretty similar. In fact, some of Walker's were better than JJ's at the AA level. I'm not in any way whatsoever comparing the two. But I will say this: while there is a lot of excitement and a lot of high expectation, everyone was saying that Jordan Walker was going to be a 30 to 40 home run hitter in the majors. I mean, the expectations for Jordan Walker were astronomical, by myself included. So it's proof that there's never any guarantee that these guys are going to pan out. There's no guarantee that JJ Weatherholt's going to pan out. If he doesn't, the Cardinals are in huge trouble. But I don't know. The maybe I'm wrong, but this comment from LBD Titan makes me almost think that there's this guarantee that, one, he knew that Jordan Walker was never going to succeed, and that JJ Weatherholt is guaranteed to succeed. Both things that are not true. Not true at all. So I don't know, just kind of a random little tangent.
There's always that what if, but the nausea part comes as like, what if JJ isn't what he is when he gets up here? And then it's like, I mean,
they jumped with him too quickly. That we know the handling of Jordan Walker was not good. The Cardinals perhaps are looking at that and saying, we're not going to do that again with JJ. We're going to give him his time down there. It's been 25 games. How many Cardinal players this year have hit well for 25 games and then all of a sudden they look terrible? How many guys, right? Yeah. So it's been a really small sample size for JJ Weatherholt at that level. Anyway, that's my argument. That's my thoughts on JJ Weatherholt.
Well, let's go ahead and get a word from our sponsors, because nothing beats a relaxing hot summer day, and watching baseball, of course, is typically the best. It's also the simplest way to get in on the action, and that's to download the Pick 6 apps from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
So if you're joining us a little bit later on the show here, the final score 12-8, Cardinals fall short to the Yankees. That is their 4th straight loss. The Yanks now 66-57, the Birds 61-63. And tomorrow on the bump, Miles Michaelis. I don't want to say anything because we talked about the Rockies. Things didn't go our way in any way, shape, or form when you and I were talking about afternoon games. And, at this point, we got to just roll with it. First pitch is at 1:15, and we'll see what happens if when pitches start coming across, and see if the bats come alive, and if enough runs will do it for the Cardinals.
Yeah, if you look at Miles Michaelis' numbers here, I know fans are so over it, and I get it because he's getting paid a boatload of money and he hasn't been good enough. If you look at his numbers over his last couple of starts, they've been better. Not over his last couple. His last start was better. Forgive me. 6 2/3, 2 earned runs, 4 hits. Against the Rockies, carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning. So, hopefully you can build off of that. Obviously, there is a slight difference between the lineup that the New York Yankees have compared to the Colorado Rockies. But yeah, I mean, you hope he can keep the Cards in the game, and that the offense is able to perform again. One last thing I'll mention here: we didn't mention Sonny Gray very much tonight. A super disappointing outing for the Cardinals' number 1 starter, who ends up throwing just 5 innings tonight, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating right now. It's frustrating the inconsistency that you are getting from Sonny Gray. The second half of this season has been pretty disappointing. His ERA now up to 4.3. And we know one of the bigger issues for Sonny last year was way too much home run contact that was given up by him. And that's kind of crept back in and become an issue again this year, especially though in the last, I would say probably the last month and a half, it's gotten worse. He gave up 21 home runs in all of 2024. He's up to 19 for 2025. So Sonny Gray has some stuff to clean up, and he'll be another interesting name coming this offseason. I've seen some conversation in the mix as well on moving on from Sonny Gray. He has the no trade clause. Perhaps, he would be willing to waive it come the offseason. He is set to get paid $35 million. He got paid 25 this year, 10 last year. So if you think that you're going to be paying 35 mil and this is what you're going to be getting, then maybe they elect to move on from him. The only thing that I'll say to that though is that who you have to have 5 or 6 or probably 7 that you feel like you can go with, and I don't know at this moment how many they feel like they have for 2026. I think they feel Liberatore. I still would say Palante probably. McGreevy, those 3 for sure. Michaelis is obviously gone. Gray's the question mark, sure. Some of these guys that you had in AA and AAA, Quinn Matthews, I know he's had a couple of better starts as of late, but I'm not touching him. I'm not bringing him up to the majors this year. I need to see that extended over an extended period of time there. I think they're going to be very careful with him next year. And then Takeo Roby, we know he's going to be out for a while. They're really banged up. They're really banged up in AAA. So
yeah, that's for sure.
It's going to come down to what some of these offseason trades end up bringing in. If Chaim Bloom is able to get some good returns and there's some guys that you feel like you can throw into the rotation immediately, then great. But there's also a very realistic world in which the Cardinals, for these guys, end up acquiring AA, AAA talent. That would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. Starting pitching is expensive. And even in some of the pieces the Cardinals have, I have no idea how the market is going to view some of these guys. So Chaim Bloom's going to have his work cut out for him this offseason, and I'm sure we'll be having this conversation at least a time or two again prior to the offseason.
I absolutely agree. Well, final thoughts on anything heading into what the Cardinals really have to do? I mean, just kind of closing comments, I guess, is more or less what.
No, you heard my closing comments right there. Try and find a way to take a game of this series, and then what is it? And then it's on to Miami. Yep.
Trying to be positive, but sometimes it's just a bummer, right? You can only it's like beating a dead horse. You can only say so much about certain things, and Cardinal Nation just gets a little let down on some stuff, but
yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. So once again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being part of this crew. The Cards Central Postgame Show will be back at it tomorrow after the Cardinals hopefully pull one victory out of this matchup against the Yankees. And that is a 1:15 first pitch for a Sunday matchup. So thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your Saturday night. We'll see you right back here next time.